Thugs for less. Pay for 6 hits and the 7th is free. You want us to what? Whoa, wait a minute. That'd be an unethical conflict of interest. What kind of scum do you think we are? Say, that is a lot of bolts. Well, since you put it that way, I suppose we could undo our previous obligation. Excellent, sir. Thank you for choosing Thugs for Less.
Interesting.
Attention all Thugs for
Check
Less
these guys for
personnel.
working for
Now
Angela,
have
so
a new
who could that have
employer.
been that called them, I wonder?
This basically serves to establish that you will still fight the Thugs for Less despite everything, so tough shit. But for the time being, let's get to Joba. Alright.
These constant aspect ratio changes, it's like I'm watching a TV show that went to 16:9 halfway through the series. Whenever they have a flashback scene, they keep having to do 4:3 so it doesn't look weird stretched out.
I thought you were going to say the Snyder Cut instead.
I'm guessing some of those scenes are even harder to put in widescreen without causing any visual issues.
Anyway, the whole video was not kidding. The native population of the planet is quite hostile, and you know, if you haven't upgraded your weapon to a decent degree, you will have a hard time. But as the Olivine said, there are two things to actually look forward here. The bike race, which I'm gonna do right now, and of course the second type of arena with its own type of, you know, super bosses, optional bosses, so you'll be able to see.
Fun times ahead.
Are these guys as hostile as someone who'll try and shoot you for trying to help them out of a plane crash?
That's very specific, and I don't know how to answer that with.
It's a tinted episode.
Oh.
Nice finish on that chrome. You buffed this out yourself?
I handle my own buffing, sir.
Oh, sorry, little man. I thought you was a crankshaft. Can't see my own hand in front of my face without these.
Wait, is Ratchet
No
flying?
problem. So, how do I enter the big race?
Well, you got the helmet. You're in.
That shot
Easy
right.
peasy.
Look, the way
Is
No, it's
this
just a
Oh,
perspective.
that.
I could use
Okay.
those myself. They
I
go
could have
real
sworn it
nice
looked
with
like he was
leather
flying.
chaps.
Alright, here's another. Since we already had the helmet, let's do the hover bike race. Like I said, I'm just gonna showcase the mandatory one. Especially because, again, this course is technically harder than the desert one, as you can see. Also, it has mystery boxes with different kinds of fun surprises of weapons that you can use.
It's like playing Crash Team Racing.
Kinda, sorta.
But not like Ridge Racer.
You know, it's kind of interesting that after the PlayStation 1 era, Sony only tried very sporadically to have the card formula for some of their IPs. You know, there was obviously Jack X, Combat Racing. Okay, Twisted Metal only cards partially because it's more car combat than a straight up, you know, racing car game. And was a little, some for Little Big Planet. There was Mod Nation Racer. I think that was from them.
Yep.
But nothing that was really done to try to compete with Mario Kart, despite everything.
It is weird, honestly. Like, you'd think, if anything, Sony would take to note, hey, Crash Bandicoot, one of the most successful things we held in our palms for a bit, did this stuff. We should try and replicate that. I mean, they eventually did, but it took a while.
Well, that still was with Crash, but with, you know, different people at the helm. I'm talking specifically about Sony trying to use...
No. What? Like you mentioned, they would later do stuff like that with Jack and Daxter, but that
was on the
well
PS2
far
era
off.
anyway, so, you know, it's not that far out in terms of, you know, the distance in years.
I'm talking Sony in general, especially since, you know, the further we go into gens, the more they seem reluctant to actually have more of the cartoony, or as people tend to call them now, scrimblow bimblow protagonists and all that. So, Tia, what's your favorite hoverbike course?
I mean, again, in terms of level design, they're technically fine. Like I said, the only major problem is just the speed that you go through, you know.
Honestly, these...
There we go.
In a way, these kind of do feel like Sony's answer to F-Zero.
Yeah, well, to be fair, yeah, the F-Zero was still relatively strong as a presence since last game was on the GameCube.
Myself.
Alright,
They'll
so
look
what we
real
get?
nice with
The
your
magnet boots.
You can race again, you know. Now the prize is a bunch of bolts.
To activate
Oh, sorry, no, the charge boots, my bad. These are
R1.
essentially, yeah, ideally on paper they serve to, you know, fast traveling, but the problem is that, as you can see, the maneuverability is not particularly perfected, so there's a good chance you're gonna careen yourself off to a cliff most of the time.
They go to that
the series
school
will
of...
perfect these type of gadgets as the games go on.
It's the classic. Oh yes, you can move super fast, but you'll have absolutely no control save for the one direction you want to
I
move in
don't
while
really
using
think
it.
that they were put in as a joke, and they generally wanted to give an option to backtrack faster through a level, potentially, but swing it and miss, I think. Again, they would be
that's the
better
weird
in
thing.
later games.
There's nary if ever a part where you're absolutely required to use them either. It's like,
Okay,
granted,
I'm
maybe
trying
that
to
was...
think. Right now I don't remember if there is any indeed, but maybe...
If
Oh,
there-
okay, go on.
If there were bits, then they are far and few between because I can't really remember them. Like, part of me does wonder if maybe that's because the devs realized the kind of herky-jerk nature of them, so making them required might have been a bit iffy. That's my best guess as to why they present it but don't do much. I mean, yes, there are technically some other power-ups where you technically don't need them, but at least but the difference is that it feels like they still have uses, even if you don't have to use them, you know.
Yeah.
Got that ubiquitous feel, whereas, again, this feels super specific, sadly because of how it controls. And I wonder if they realized that at the last minute and figured, okay, let's not make it too required.
There you go. What I basically did was to unlock the specific synergy to unlock that gate to get that nanotech upgrade. If I recall correctly, one of the trophies is about actually getting all of these specific extra nanotech, you know, in scattered throughout the game. And some of them are relatively hidden well. There is one, if you had a keen eye, that you noticed during one of the previous parts in one of the sections where you use the glider, where in order to get it you had to do some stupid maneuver and basically go through the entire level and then turn around and go all the way back, hoping that you still have enough momentum. Again, it borders on, you know, on luck towards the end. But yeah, if you notice, these natives are basically the same as the ones from the planet with the Gadgetron ruins. It's just that they have more powerful equipment. And yeah, some of them command turrets, which means I have to get creative in trying to defeat them. Nope, this doesn't work. There you go. The knockback usually helps to at least dislocate from a turret. And yeah, even the turret sections, as someone noticed, you know, as you can notice, are faster and more snappy than the one from the first game. Sure, there weren't that much first game, but if you remember, mostly the most famous line is on Battaglia, and it was relatively slow, while in this case the turret itself, you know, is more snappy, and even the enemy faster movement compensates, you know, the pace. So it basically tries not to waste your time. Alright, now it's time to do some side-scrolling. Because again, this monster in particular is very picky in movement. You need to watch out from shapes that are constantly, emerging from the wall. A bit like the not temple, but the city areas, the native city areas in Crash Bandicoot 1.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, the construct will not fade until the very end, but as you can see, it's just, there you go. Sometimes very some dickish placement. There we go. We're on top. But we're still not there at the arena. But again, we're relatively close anyway. But yeah, since this particular area has 2 turrets, I think it's actually for the best to actually take control of one of them and start blasting.
But of course.
Yeah, I don't think I was thinking if any of the doors actually behind there actually had any collectibles, but no.
I've been playing this game with the Konami laser scope.
The rate of fire would have been a bit too fast to constantly yell, fire, fire.
No, you just have to say fire faster like this. Fire, 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 fire.
Hey, oh, look who's back.
Going to the games?
From the first game.
Yeah? What's it to ya?
Whoa, take it easy, Chief. I ain't looking for no trouble. Just an honest man looking to make an honest buck.
I sincerely doubt that.
Hey, I ain't the one trying to get into a sold-out arena. You're gonna need this levitator to get in there.
For 20,000
nice
balls.
doing business with you again.
Yes, an upgrade
Time
for
me to relocate.
And hey, it's a good showcase of showing Ratchet's skill abilities as a mechanic.
It says here tab A goes into slot B. Okay, and then magnetize the graviton matrix, remove your left arm, block, and done.
There we go. It's a variation of the thruster.
You know it.
Basically, you need to get to context-sensitive platform. We will charge up, a fuel meter, and then you can actually fly. As you're about to see. There you go. Again, as you can see, however, the fuel is not that much, so you need to actually, it's kind of the equivalent of bouncing, basically. You need to, gain momentum, then, glide a bit without actually spending the fuel, and then rinse repeating, if you want to travel big distances.
You're ready to get more fuel later on.
Again, you just need to get onto the context-sensitive platforms, but you cannot upgrade, technically, that, unfortunately.
Are you ready for the main event? Introducing one of the fiercest gladiators in the galaxy.
Hey, I will say this, unlike in Kingdom Hearts, these arena actually has spectators.
They'll be lucky to survive against the toughest gladiators in the galaxy.
Spectators,
At
but
least
true,
it's
that is
something.
more.
Get it on!
Yeah. But hey, let's see. So, we technically have weapons that can spew fire, and now we can fly for limited times. Ratchet, your transformation into Light Spyro is nearly complete.
I mean, I guess the only thing missing would be being quadruple, but I don't see how that can work out.
Yes, I remember this Gladiators event. We went around with a flamethrower burning stuff, while the Gladiators just stood around and laughed at you.
Because they were resistant to fire, apparently, given that, according to you, they survived that.
Well, okay, when I say Gladiators, I mean our version, not the American one.
Again, your story implies that they are fire resistant.
And yeah, the arena has also specific trappings.
Well, I mean, the original incarnation of the show lasted for 8 years, so I guess you could say that. I guess, well, minus a couple of the gladiators who were fired in a different way.
As you can see, the reason the enemies are glowing green is because I got off screen one of the, if I recall correctly, one of the modifications from the incognito that actually makes my shotgun shells inject acid into the enemy. Don't ask me how it works, it just does. Shut up.
Truly the art of modern warfare.
Of course. Go. Almost done with this last wave. If I recall correctly, this is another case where I will come back later to showcase the optional bosses for this arena, because again, it might as well be more prepared. There you go. Now we get the magnet boots. There we go. Oh, sorry, gravity boots.
Gravity boots will allow you to walk or jump on any magnetic surface.
There's also one for the infiltrator. I don't know. Yeah, I do it. Okay. Basically, another something similar to the, if I recall correctly, to the Hollow Guys from the first game. But as you can see, this gimmick of this arena is that sometimes you get. There you go, you need to jump and use the gravity boots onto the lateral surface of the... Again, compared even to the first game, this one actually tries to be more creative with its gadgets. So, again, the gravity boots are basically a genuine upgrade compared to the first game's magnet boots, because you move normally, you can only do one jump that's not, that far, but it still gives you much more mobility than the first game, which is much more of a godsend and allows you to properly fight despite everything. And yeah, because you're still suspended on a lateral platform, a simple knockback sometimes is actually sufficient to actually knock the enemy down into the lava, so it's also a good deterrent to actually defeat enemies that are a bit more spongy.
Very nice.
And yeah, when the lava retreats, that's your signal to actually go down. We'll get to use this thing later.
See ya.
Oh, actually, no, we need to use it now. Okay. Alright, now remember, my bad. If I recall correctly, it's a different type of, hacking. There you go, yes. Okay, this hacking is kinda annoying. You basically get this sphere. You need to follow the green or the green path. And until you actually reach the proper quota and you connect back to the original dot. It's a simple sphere puzzle. The problem is that the more it gets complex, the more, segments you need to do. I'll explain more in the next part when it becomes more appropriate, but for the time being, let's use the gravity boots to get back to Uzla and explore what was that tube that we saw. It contains the monster that actually was dragging the scientists down. It's technically part plant because it has the tentacles that resemble leaves, but as you can see, it's more of a giant enemy crab.
Attack its weak point for massive damage.
I'm pretty sure all of the body is a weak point. And yeah, it's a constant. This particular fight is a constant, jumping from lily pad to lily pad in order to, there you go, to avoid the attacks and avoid the fact that they can sunk that. There you go. Again, as you can see, also the health bar of this boss is not super spongy, but still relatively high. So don't come here until your weapons are, on a decent kind of level, or at least you have them,
If I recall correctly, I think some of the bosses are more susceptible to certain weapons, depending.
If it is, I haven't really noticed that. The game doesn't really tell you.
Again, don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I played this game, but I could have sworn that there were some weapons that just naturally did more damage to certain bosses. Of course, that would be kind of...
It really also depends on the upgrade that you have. Like, for example, you know, the acid counts as poison and then slowly depletes some of the health, which can be useful, but sometimes it's still not that much that you give damage. Shock is kind of the same with electricity, and sometimes it actually paralyzes the enemy, which means obviously the bosses most of the time are not even remotely afflicted by it. And the only other upgrade that you get for the weapons on normal circumstances is the lock-on feature, which actually improves accuracy. Yeah, when the boss is doing like this, it's time to run. Ow. Thankfully it's not an insta-kill. And yeah, remember, the liquid here is the one that basically kills you if you step on it 3 times in a row. So you need to watch out. Let me use this time to actually check out what this thing is called. Might as well. Oh, Swamp Monster. That's the name, I guess. Swamp Monster. So, a bit generic, admittedly. So.
Yes, it makes sense why this is one of those cases where, you know, you have to look up its name. Though that said, why even give it a name at that rate?
I mean, again, if it was Monster Hunter, it would have been probably called something like, I don't know, Bogagius or something.
A Bargartia Swampus.
Yeah, something like that. Something fancy and that pretends to be Latin.
Yeah. Capcom really do love their puns, even outside of Ace Attorney when you get down to it.
Honestly, the only one that I remember at the very least that makes sense is when it comes to, you know, the OG final boss, Hataris, because, you know, it literally means fatal and represents the status of the Divine Dragon, so...
Ratchet, should you really be doing that in his mouth? You might get arrested.
I mean, everything for, you know, depleting that L-bar. And hey, it seems to be working better, so maybe your theory was correct, Joba.
Yes! That's his weakness, piss in the mouth.
I mean, that would be an ideal joke for Insomniac, so I wouldn't be too surprised if that's the punchline. There we go, we literally nuked it. And you get, like I said, one of the better upgrades for the entire franchise that starts with this. As you're about to see, the Box Breaker. Basically, now you need just to shake the ground and everything in the area gets broken instantly. Basically giving you all the sweet scenery balls that you can want.
Cloud could do with this.
Alright, since I also have the gravity boots, let me just showcase very briefly something else. Back on the desert planet, another way to, you know, farm the Raritanium is actually use this, a mining vehicle that basically lets you locate the Raritanium, also on the radar. You basically get on the specific spot and then activate the the incorporated drills in order to properly farm the crystals. However, watch out because the vehicle can be actually still be attacked by the enemies, and if it gets destroyed, if I recall correctly, you either have to die and respawn, or, you know, get off the planet and re-enter. Mind you, it's not like it dies in one hit, it's not too much of a problem, to be honest. As you can see, you can also run over enemies if you're really that desperate. So there you go, now you have another source of farming the crystals here. Anyway, tune in for the next part, where we try to put this new gadget to good use and see what we can do. See ya!
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.